Hi, and welcome back to the Industry Expert series on PCB data management. My name is John Watson. In this episode, we're going to be looking at how you change your operational processes to improve your PCB data management. I can tell you right off the bat that this is going to be a very practical episode for you. And listen very carefully, because what I want you to do is not just hear the theory behind this, but actually begin to get out as many points as you can from it and begin to put it into practice. I can tell you that change is involved in throughout our industry. What was common yesterday, last year, years ago is now gone, and new industries, new innovations are coming forward. And we as PCB designers many times have to adjust and have to filter out a lot of times and readjust how we approach things. Some people hate change. They just want to live in that comfort zone where they don't have to change at all, where they want nothing more, nothing less in their life. Well, the other day I was actually at the market, and I can tell you that it was a seafood market, and I went up and they had a box of live crabs there. The box was only about 4 or 5 inches high. This box must have held, 50 crabs. And I was looking and I thought, how amazing is this? Is that this box is so small and it's so easily for them just to crawl out. But when you actually looked at it, it turned out that all the crabs were connected. They were all holding on to each other. And a lot of times that's a little bit of how we operate. People want other people to be held in that comfort zone. But let me tell you that change is not always easy, but it's worth it. And I can tell you that whenever problems occur in your process or whatever, there's some serious questions you have to start asking yourself. For some, whenever they hit a problem or a situation, a lot of times what do? They go into a fetal position and go into their happy place, But almost worse than that is to have a knee-jerk reaction to only the symptoms of a problem. And you never get to what's called the root cause. A lot of times we have a knee-jerk reaction, but we never find out what the real problem is. The result of that is a vicious cycle of nothing ever changes. And because you didn't deal with that root cause, that problem pops right back up again. And you've got to find the root cause of a problem. Before you make any changes in your process or your flow, you have to understand what is the root cause. And a good way of doing that is to go through what I call the 5 whys. You ask the question why, and it digs into that issue, and it says by asking that 5 times, you're actually now to the root cause of any problem. Let me give you an example of this. Let's say I go out and I try to start my car. My car won't start. Why? The battery's dead. Why is the battery dead? Well, the alternator's not charging the battery, I found out. Why is that? Well, the alternator belt is broken. Why is the alternator belt broken? Well, the belt was far beyond its recommended usage. Why was that? Well, I failed to follow the recommended maintenance schedule on my vehicle. You see, by asking what is then the root cause of the problem? Was it the fact that my battery was dead? Well, no. The real root cause of the problem was I failed to follow the recommended maintenance schedule. So what does that mean for us with PCB data? How does that represent for us? We have to understand whenever we have a problem or a situation in our PCB design process is we have to determine what that root cause is. There are 3 ways that we can change your operational processes. The 3 things right away. Number 1 is you want to make sure that your data is driving your process. A significant change that I've seen in the PCB data, it drives the design process into new areas, meaning that there are designated gatekeeping items in that process. So we continually keep improving that data and we allow it to drive the process. Another way is by increasing your communication. We've actually seen as we have been dealing and finding root causes for issues and problems, a lot of times it now has increased our communication with other designers. And with identifying of the roles and specifying the responsibilities of each of them, They have improved the communication between those team members. Lastly, we're looking at tailoring, constantly improving on our PCB data management area. A huge change was in the attitude. When we used the 5 whys, we were not afraid of change. Constant improvements then became a way of life for us. We weren't afraid to change. We simply adjusted what we had to do. Our data, our process, our teams began to improve continuously. Some of the key takeaways I want you to have from this episode is, do not be satisfied with living and working if you're in a comfort zone. Break out of that comfort zone. Know that there's so much more outside of that comfort zone. Yes, it will require you to change, but it will be so worth it. Know how to get to the root cause of a problem by asking the 5 whys. And lastly, be ready for change in your PCB process. It will happen, and it will be for the good. I hope this episode has been very beneficial, and I hope that you'll share this with your workers and the companions and your friends. In the next episode, we're actually going to look at how does the seamless transfer and use of PCB design data improve the workflows. Thank you very much for listening. My name is John Watson.